So you're off work and want to go take photos, you look up and see this. A completely grey, overcast sky, and it will probably be like this all day. But in street photography you can only take good photos if you have exciting lighting conditions. That's what somebody told me, right? You need sun, or at least rain with people with umbrellas everywhere. Yes, that's definitely more fun. But hey, look at it this way. On a cloudy day, there's no such thing as morning sun or evening sun or completely difficult lighting conditions at midday. You have the choice between gray, gray, and you guessed it, gray. So don't rush it. Have another coffee in peace and quiet, and then let's get straight into how you can take great street photos on a gray day. So what I love in street photography are contrasts, but high contrast photos are much harder to get on these grey overcast days than on sunny days. So the first thing I do is create a photo profile in my camera that is rich in contrast. That means deep shadows and a little brighter highlights. This is very easy to do with Fuji cameras, for example, but also with other camera brands. So this means I can see the high contrast image on my screen in the preview in a beautiful contrasty way and can then edit it in Lightroom, or I can use the RAW file. As colors often appear very washed out on gray days, I usually opt for a black and white color profile. For some subjects, however, the colors are crucial, especially the really intense colors. So I think that red works best by far with rainy colors for some reason. This is where Fuji's classic negative film simulation works perfectly. I don't go beyond an exposure time of 1/250, an aperture between 4 and 8, and sometimes I also shoot fully open, so f2.0 on my Fuji X100V. If we want to take a strong high contrast photo, we should seek out specific locations. Sure, you can literally photograph anything and increase the contrast in post, but that usually doesn't work as well as if it would happen in camera. There are also places on cloudy days where you can separate your photographic subjects without an open aperture, simply by contrast with the background. This works well in all places with dark areas surrounding a brighter background. These are usually shopping arcades, subway exits, or passageways. Make sure that you place the person you are photographing in front of the brightest point to achieve the greatest possible contrast. With AFC, though, continuous autofocus and a precise autofocus point at a larger aperture, you can usually achieve great results here. You can of course refine this effect later when editing the photos. But always remember, you can turn a good image into a great one in Lightroom, but a mediocre is very hard to turn into a good one. So make sure that the focus and exposure are correct when taking the shot. If not, readjust and wait another few minutes for the next interesting person. An old street photographer rule says, a man in a hat usually doesn't come alone. Or was it Confucius? A cloudy day offers perfect conditions for photos of reflections. Why is that the case? On sunny days you often have very large amounts of dark areas in the reflection, especially in shop windows. It's harder to make out the point your subject needs to walk through to get an interesting photo. This means that on sunny days, in order not to let interesting parts of the reflection in a window disappear completely in the dark, you have to overexpose slightly. However, this often means that the bright parts of the reflection illuminated by the sun are slightly burned out, and the effect of the contrast of a silhouette is only slightly present, if at all. In short, it is difficult to get the exposure right to take an appealing photo. On cloudy days, it's quite different. Here, the difference between light and dark areas in the window are not so great, so you can expose normally or even overexpose a little. The results are photos in which the highlights are not burned out and there is still some details in the shadows. I like to use shop windows, puddles, cars, or other reflective surfaces for reflection shots. Reflections are a very simple trick to be able to compose exciting photos even on cloudy days. Layers are one of the most demanding challenges in street photography, at least for me. This means that you divide a photo into foreground, middle ground, and background, and then something should happen at each level. And ideally, people and situations should not overlap. Although a grey day is actually the ideal weather for practicing layering, I found it quite difficult here today. This picture here, for example, seems too busy and chaotic. Only this one with the scouts in the background, the woman in the foreground, and the guy with the shirt and the woman taking the photo in the middle ground. Well, I like that a bit. To practice layering, it's best to position yourself in a fairly busy place with a background that isn't too varied, so preferably a single color like a gray wall. And now it's really good if you use the burst mode on your camera. Editing in front of the computer may then take a little bit longer, but you have a greater chance of immediately have a hit. You know the moment you notice certain details on the streets? It is a particular item or clothing, a sign of human existence, such as a cup of coffee that has been drunk, or a dog, a cat, or a flock of pigeons eating some leftover bread. Who says that street photography always has to include a person from shoes to hat? Anything that has to do with life in a city can be street photography, I guess. And that includes animals and certain details. Imagine you're out on a sunny day and you notice an interesting pair of shoes that a certain person is wearing. You only really have the opportunity to frame the shoes in a nice way if the person is walking through a sunny section surrounded by shadows. Sure, with fast autofocus, you can focus on just that particular detail. But you probably know at the right moment, autofocus often lets you down. So only option A remains: exciting detail passing exciting light. However, as passers-by on the street are not your personal photo assistants, this usually doesn't happen that often. But on cloudy days, when the light is almost the same everywhere, you have many chances of framing the right shot. And you can concentrate on such details and then work them out when developing your film, or most of us when editing in Lightroom. Pigeons are also part of the basic repertoire of street photography and also work perfectly on grey days. Sorry for the little chase, dear pigeons. I just want you to stay fit for the next hungry cat you come across, like this one, for example. So, do you ever go out on cloudy days, or are you more of a fair weather photographer? I have to admit, unfortunately, I am too. And be sure to check out my last video on street photography on cloudy days. You'll get even more tips there. See you there.